Alright, hello everyone. In this video, I'll be showing you how to get started with the Xcode debugger. This is a very high level overview. I won't be getting into too much detail, but I will put a link in the description to a video by Stanford, I believe, where they go into much more detail about the debugger and different tips and tricks on how to use Xcode properly. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a dummy project. I'm just going to go click Mac OS, command line tools. Then project name can just be hello world. And language is going to be Swift. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and save it right here. I already have it, so I'm just going to replace it. And this is what it looks like when you have your first project up and running. So if you look on the top right corner, here I'm just going to go and, if you look on the top right corner, you have these little icons. So they each bring up a different section on the screen. So this one opens and closes the Navigator, which has different things like all the breakpoints. It can show you what your current debug session looks like, and any type of files you have in the folder you can access through here, and all sorts of different things. And this is what we'll be focusing on today. This section, by clicking this middle icon, it brings up the console and the debugger at the bottom. And this one just closes the right side of the screen, which is called the inspector, but we don't need to worry about it right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to show you is how you do breakpoints in Swift. So let's say I'm writing a program like this and I want it to stop before it executes print YouTube. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is right here, click on the line number, and it should highlight it with this arrow. So now when I run the program, it's going to build the program, and it's going to stop executing right before it gets here. So it only prints hello world. It doesn't print YouTube. So I'll get into what everything down here means as well. So alright, that works fine. Now let's do let x equals 5,000. Go ahead and save it. Also, you can use Command R to run your Swift code as well. You don't constantly have to click this button up here. So right now it's at that same breakpoint, but what I wanted to show you was that if you have variable, let's say x in this case, when you're debugging, it gives you this. If you press P space and the name of a variable, let's say x in this case, it'll give you some details about what x is, like x is an integer, what the value is, and things like that. So it just gives you a basic overview of what the variable is and some basic information about it. One more thing, let's say your code is badly formatted. You can select all of it, do Command I, all right. Sorry, Control I, and it formats it properly again. So let's say tab space tab. If I select all of this and do Control I, it formats everything properly. go, this is already stopped. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you this. So let's say we have another print statement in here that prints out X, and I add two new breakpoints basically. So all the breakpoints, you can go into this section right here in the Navigator, and you can see all the breakpoints that you have, and they're sorted by file. This is very detailed, so you know exactly where the breakpoints are and what line number, what file, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and run it again. So this time I wanted to show you this button. What this basically does is it executes the code. So let's say we're at this breakpoint. This line is going to execute the code till the next breakpoint essentially. So we go here, we get to YouTube. So it prints YouTube and then it stops at the next breakpoint. If we do this again, now it's going to print 5,000, which is the value of X, and basically exit the program. One more thing I wanted to show was go ahead and do this. Do Command R again to run the code. So what this does is it skips lines over, so it steps over the instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and press it one time. It prints YouTube and goes to the next line. And then I press it again. It's going to print the value of X and jump to the next line. Now if I press it again, it's going to print hello world. Sorry, hello YouTube. So you can just use this to step over different lines in your program. All right, I mean, that's about it. I'm gonna have a few links in the description, which you can check out for more details. One of them is gonna be for a Stanford video where they go into much more detail for the debugger and a lot more tips and tricks for Xcode. And there's also another link that takes you to the official documentation. So if you are getting any errors, you can always try and figure out what the problem might be through this documentation. And also, let's say you have like an error in your program like this, where I don't have a quotation mark at the end of this print statement. So what Xcode does is it before you even, so once you save the file, it'll tell you, it'll already highlight the line if it finds it to be problematic, and you can and it'll give you the error right there, so you don't have to really have to wait for it to compile and fail to know if there's a problem in your code, which I think is pretty cool. It's a very powerful IDE in my opinion. So yeah, like I was saying, I'll leave a link to that Stanford video, which you can watch if you need more help, and the official documentation in the description. I hope I've been helpful. You guys have a wonderful day.